All right. Good morning, everyone. So we have the Hotspotty team with us today on the Cryptochemistry podcast founder interview series. We're going to do a little bit of something new today where we're recording on Restream, and we're going to show a little bit of the product with the screen share today and really change up the format a bit. So we're super excited to do this. So I'm joined with Jake off of the Cryptochemistry team, Mr. Swiss here, Dylan. And then we have Alexis, Max, and Daniel on with us. And we'd love to just get a couple minutes to introduce you three, and then we can kick it off with some questions. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah, we're good,
Waking
thanks. Yeah, thanks for having us on your show. I guess we can, all three of us can just have a quick intro about our backgrounds. So my name's Alexis, and I'm more responsible for the marketing, and to a certain extent the operations of things. That was my background is in distribution and communications equipment, but more recently, sort of since 2016, took a big interest in blockchain and obviously Helium. So that's just a very quick review of me.
My name is Daniel. I am hardware engineer, but also do a lot of things with software, backend, and I've been along crypto since 2013, but not full time. I wish I was more in depth in that at that time, but I was too focused on trying to graduate from university and studying a lot, I guess. But I'm into the backend from the software all the way to the embedded system designs and electronics.
Daniel, I'm curious, where did you go to school, by the way?
South of Brazil, there's a university called Universidade Federal de Santa Catarina. It was electrical engineering.
Really?
Then I always had the passion about electronics as well and software, so kind of like power electronics, like microelectronics and software, all the way to the websites and #nerd, but it's okay.
It's working out, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Max. I'm also an electromechanical engineer originally, but then I pivoted into data science. Then I co-founded a business which ended up being like an ERP system, where I was mainly responsible of the product and the front-end development of it. Since 2020 with these guys, I've been like full-time crypto with Hotspotty and other things as well. At Hotspotty, I'm mostly concerned about the product and basically what features to build and what the next steps are, and then also actually developing it in the front end and steering the front end devs and working together with Daniel on the back end. So that's it.
And so Max and Daniel, you guys have been in a bit of a sprint, you were saying, because we have to mention off the top that you're all just coming off your commercial launch for Hotspotty, and that was first announced, I think, towards the end of last summer. So here you are after 6-7 months. How did the commercial launch go?
You can go.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been busy. Maybe I can talk real quickly. Yeah, we started working on Hotspotty, we call it the version 2.0, which is the version that we have right now. On the beginning of last year, me and Max just hacking along the back end. I was taking care of like the blockchain analysis. Max was doing like the front end wizardry, and so it's been a long road. I think we've been pretty much coding 7 days a week since the beginning of last year, but it's something that's massive passion of ours. So we managed to build something that the community quite appreciate, and we get really happy with that.
That's
and
tremendous.
also maybe worth noting is that we also deployed us three, a bunch of hotspots early on, which is also why we ended up building all these tools, because they were mainly meant for ourselves, because we were doing it at scale. But then we realized that actually the way to optimize is to collaborate, and that's basically why we ended up really focusing on this, providing these collaboration tools to the community, and keep on iterating and basically following the needs of the community and tailoring solutions to that.
I've been so impressed by the Helium community's collaboration and how quickly really great tools have been spun up for tax tracking, for placement management and fleet management like Hotspotty is doing. And it's been really tremendous to see as a Helium miner as well, the real rapid community development and collaboration, because there's other networks that we're toying with where the concern and the user first approach for tax tracking and all of these really important tracking tools and the fleet management. I mean, all of this there's other communities that don't really have the same drive as the Helium community. So that's tremendous. I love what you guys are doing. Been a big fan of the product. And I would love for you to explain a little bit about what is Hotspotty even. I mean, for those who aren't familiar with it, what is Hotspotty and why is this so important?
Yeah, I can answer that. Our tagline is your all-in-one tool for building the Helium network. We have 5 broad subject areas that start from understanding, the hotspot data and the network data, to planning and optimizing hotspot locations, to monitoring and managing those locations, to then collaborating with your team. There's workspaces you can invite people, and collaborating with the community. You can verify your wallet and you can collaborate on hexes. And then finally, you have payment management, right? So you can pay hosts and partners for hosting their hotspot. So it is an all-in-one tool for building the Helium network over 5 broad areas, and each one of those areas has between 8 and 12 features. The best thing to do is to go to hotspotty.net, and our site's been updated recently, and it's quite exhaustive with all of those new features. But also we've got a lot more on the roadmap to build as well. But generally speaking, yeah, that's how we describe it.
Yeah, and then before you were all kind of freemium, and you just recently launched a priced version. What has changed, and what exactly are some features that are now maybe price gated, or new features that you released? Maybe give us a really quick explanation of you just launched this. You just transitioned, and it's super dope. I mean, we were testing it out last night before the interview. We wanted to make sure we'd gotten a chance to play with the paid features, and it's incredible. I mean, I am blown away by what you guys have put together. So would love to just get your take.
Yeah, that Daniel wasn't joking when he says there's been 7 day a week for last year almost, So yeah, basically we're a freemium product, right? So we're part free, part premium. So we have 3 main categories, 4 if you include enterprise, but that isn't priced. But so we have a community edition, which starts off with 1 hotspot and 2 locations, and you can use that community edition package to do almost everything on Hotspotty. So you could also look at it as a non-ending free trial. So people get to test Hotspotty out, almost everything. There's a few things. There's a few restrictions, but and then we have 2 paid for packages. One's called Pro and the other one's Business. So Pro starts off at $5 and Business is $25. That's the base package, and then you add hotspots and super simulations. So you can just go over to our pricing page, and it's quite intuitive. You literally just choose the package, choose the amount of hotspots and the simulation. So you guys said that you purchased the other day, so I guess
I gotta say, the pricing was really transparent, and just incrementally shift how many hotspots you have, and you kind of pick things a la carte. And it was really, like you said, intuitive, simple, straightforward, and transparent.
Glad to hear that, because it was a lot of iterations to get there.
Yes. Yeah, we had a lot of feedback. There was a bit of a consultative period where we made a bunch of changes. So yeah, we consider ourselves to be, your all-in-one tool. You mentioned the community has produced a lot of tools in this ecosystem, and I guess that's the promise of Web 3.0, right? There's lots of things working, and people build tools and suck data in and all the rest of it. And blockchain is a really important, is playing a massive role in that area, right? But yeah, in answer to your question, that's pretty much it. You know, it took us a bit of time to devise the pricing just because we had so many features, but we believe that it's, as you say, pretty transparent and actually very simple now. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a great success.
So that is, I'm curious how that went, because going from a freemium model to paid, asking, telling the community it's time to pay for these wonderful services can be a tricky dance to walk. Nobody likes to pay for things. They like to get it for free. But how has that been getting the community on board? Have they been understanding that it was nice to get things for free while they did, or did you have to deal with some pushback?
No, I'd say almost 99%. Yeah, it was very smooth, and you're always going. No, it's nice to have everything for free, obviously. But actually, on the grand scheme of things, I think people were actually very grateful for having had the opportunity to use our tooling for free for a long time. And actually there were a couple of issues where people suggested that they didn't want to pay, but actually we had a bit of a conversation with them, and you soon realize that actually it takes a lot of engineering to build high quality tools, but for the most part people are super happy to
and
pay.
The pricing is really good as well, right? Like the price is like, for what we are giving the community, it's really low. So
we even have a data-driven sentence that calculates how much percentage of the average earnings based on how many hotspots you configure to add to your workspace, how much that actually would be to manage them. And it's like 0.5, 0.3% of their earnings. So basically, it's very cheap.
That's what's great about it, is because you have an entire user base making passive income with their miners. I mean, the Helium mining process is so easy. If you're in a city where there's other hotspots, you're going to be making a couple bucks every month, bare minimum. If you're in the middle of the country somewhere, you don't make anything, but you have the perfect user base. And so, especially by waiting until the price has really gone crazy, Q4 of last year, I mean, I think that was smart too, because now people, if they have more than one hotspot, and they have had more than one hotspot for a period of time, they could probably afford the $5 to $6 or $7 a month for a year or two, or however long they end up sticking around, hopefully much longer. But I wanted to just ask a little bit about the genesis of this, because you guys have been in Helium mining for a long time. You saw the need for this. One of my favorite things that you've done is put the public data above, and then you can ping the hotspot directly, because the API of the official Block Explorer is so laggy and it's bogged down by just the sheer viral nature that the Helium network has experienced. So maybe walk us through a little bit about the early days and how that came together, how you guys came together as a team. And then maybe, after a couple minutes there, we could just hop on and see some of these features live together.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit about the V1, we call it. When we started deploying hotspots, we had, 5 or 6 of the OG hotspots plus some DIYs. And we started working we call it V1. We had the need to pay our own hosts, and then okay, let's start building something very simple. Like I was doing not part-time, at night, just doing something very, very basic, so it could help us build the pay our hosts. And yeah, so that was the genesis of Hotspotty. The name came, the logo was super ugly in the beginning. Now I got used to the logo and I like it, but it's like some Photoshop, whatever. And then Max came along to do start analyzing and reverse engineering the blockchain software to get all these transmit scales and everything. And we were like, okay, actually, there's something there. There's a very big need. If this network is going to grow, because back when the Hotspotty started, there was 10,000 hotspots or something in the network. It wasn't that much.
The good old days. I remember those days.
We started okay, this is going to grow. if you build a good tool on top of this, we can have something that's useful.
Daniel, what are we up to now for total hotspots?
700,000, I think, for what I heard, 3.5 million on order.
Still early.
Yeah, so it's a fun time to run the blockchain.
Trademark. Yeah, and that's what's crazy about this, right, is I think if you have enterprise fleets, think about the city of, I think it was San Jose, doing the 75 hotspot deployment and paying for internet access for low-income families. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff. And so they're going to need help planning and measuring the ideal locations throughout the city. And I mean, if you're going to be tracking 5G deployments someday, those are going to be a huge need for everybody, the really, really buttoned up teams that are going to try to deploy this.
Yeah.
They're going to need a tool like this. And so you are leading the way, and it's really cool to see.
I mean, right now we have companies that work with us that they have like 10,000 locations that have been scoping around the globe. They have like a big team. All they do is like test locations, run simulations, and things like that. I think, and this trend, I think, is going to grow.
The dream job right there.
Yeah, exactly. But a quick side note, something that I personally think is super interesting is like especially once the light hotspots coming in like a month or so, or a couple of months, I don't know how long that's going to take. The Helium network can become like a way for poor communities to get an extra income and sometimes help them. Like imagine if you have hotspots in low income countries, or like places that like $5 a month can be like a small difference, you know?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So if you start deploying these things around the world, and then like the government start helping, like for example, San Jose, for example, this can be a very interesting change in the community.
Well,
just driven by like IoT, right? Like
I was doing a bunch of research with your tool in looking at the Chicago landscape and looking at the different food pantries that exist there, because I do a lot of work with the largest food bank in Chicago. And I did a bunch of analysis with your tool to see, okay, if we deploy hotspots at these 10 locations, these food pantries who have Wi-Fi, and then we could just donate that money back to the organization, right? So there's all these unique ways for big organizations to think about deploying these if you own real estate, physical real estate. So the tool is incredible. I would love to, if you wouldn't mind, maybe screen share a bit if you have a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these features.
Yeah, because you'd mentioned there are several new features from the commercial launch, but one of them was the super simulations, and Dylan and I were actually just messing around with them last night. But yeah, if you have an example, I think that would be really helpful for people to see just what they can do in their planning.
Yeah, exactly, not a problem. Just need to figure out how to share my screen.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I don't know.
Oh, you may need to
approve
something now. I mean, it's.
Yeah, okay. It's not available on the full screen version, but I can find it now, so it's okay.
No worries.
You see my screen?
Here we go. I can approve it. And now
nice.
We'll put it in the top there.
Looks like we're good.
We got it.
All right.
Very nice.
Cool. So so here you can see the pricing, and one of the things you can see in the Pro plan is elevation contours and line of sight tool. So even though it is possible to do one super simulation in the community plan, to be able to really get the most out of it and add more super simulations or scout for areas before you actually do the super simulation, the elevation contours overlay is very useful. So here you have the map, and we're just looking at Spain, Sevilla. Not too many hotspots, but certainly enough for this area already. But if you still want to evaluate if it makes sense for you, given you live, for example, here, to add another hotspot to the network, then super simulations are the tool you need to assess.
What do the different colors mean? Yellow and green?
Yeah. So here on the right side, you can change the appearance settings. By the way, this is what you asked for before, which is basically the distance unit. You can switch it to imperial, and that will change all of the numbers basically. Sometimes it takes a second, but as you can see here, it's now in feet. It's no longer in meters. So here, there's also a couple of other things that you can add, which could be the elevation contours, and that's what I talked about like a few seconds ago, which basically connects all of the lines that are at a certain height above sea level, and then these heights and the color codes are available here. And when you move the map, basically, these colors will update proportional to each other to have like a good sense of like, how can I say, spectrum. They would not, it's not that we use, for example, red for above whatever 3,000 meters, because then you would never see red unless you go to Switzerland or whatever. So we do this proportional to your the window that you're at. And then in terms of like the coloring of the dots, so right now what you're looking at is hotspots. We're in the hotspots tab, and you can, for example, toggle off locations, so you only see hotspots. And then here, if you scroll down, you can choose the color of the hotspots. So by default, and that's also to optimize for performance, because if you have thousands of hotspots in your area, it's better to leave it to the default, because when you change it to these others, there's more data being downloaded and more calculations being done, which actually slows down your computer, your experience a little bit. But so by default, it's set to online status, which basically means in this area, like it will show all of the hotspots that are online in green and offline in red. Then if you select what I had selected before, which is the simulated transmit scale, that will essentially color based on the transmit scale value of each hotspot and assigns it a certain color code. So right now, like this means everything between 0.95 and 1, and this means yellow means everything between 0.5 and 0.75. If you go to a very densely populated area, it will be mostly red or like less green, let's put it like that. And the color or that transmit scale factor essentially reflects the saturation of geographical areas. So in this case, there's basically too many hotspots already based on that metric. And that's also a very central part of Hotspotty. Is we started basically from that. These mechanics are embedded in the blockchain implementation of Helium, and they're originally even proposed by the community through Helium improvement proposals. But in the end, they're quite tough or difficult to wrap your head around, and certainly to calculate them, because it's highly dynamic. It depends exactly on which hotspots are around you. So the calculation to be done for, let's say, figuring out if this is 0.66 or something, basically for that you need all of the hotspots in this area. And not only that, you also need to know about the history of interactivity with the network. So offline hotspots are not considered in these calculations. So we do basically all of this logic within Hotspotty, which allows you to simulate also how to overcome these hurdles. And we provide you with different strategies. So in this case, you'll see that this hexagon, so there's multiple hexagons in which each location or hotspot is included in. And in this case, we highlight exactly what is the problematic area, the one that has too many hotspots. And then we provide you with simulations. So in this case, if you click here, then you basically resolve the problem. And how did you resolve it? You can basically read the solution here, where we added 5 locations. So 5 hypothetical new locations were added to hex D, which is this one, and that resulted in resolving the allowance in this area. So we have a lot of these quite complex mechanics that we reverse engineered and then provided a very user-friendly way and educational way for users to understand what exactly is going on and how they can actually, through collaboration, how they can actually improve the sparse expansion of the network, rather than putting more and more hotspots in areas where there's no need for it. We also provide Discord collaboration, which allows you to spawn a Discord channel for a particular hex where you can start collaborating with other people around you in order to act on these proposed strategies.
This is this is crazy, man. You're blowing my mind because we did some testing, but I did not see this feature. So we did try to explore as much as possible in here, but you've just made this so feature rich for the price you're charging. It's incredible. I didn't realize some of this logic, but I want to highlight for the audience. So when there's a lot of hotspots in a very small area, each hotspot is affected by a multiplier and weakened essentially by the way the blockchain works so that you earn less when you're oversaturating the area around you. And so what they're talking about here is a way to help coordinate with other people around you. You can message each other and start chatting and try to collaborate a little bit to optimize your regional earnings. And the only thing is, of course, if you have some rogue person who maybe doesn't really know, they're new, maybe they just start adding stuff and messing with the transmit scales. But I think if you have advanced users who are interacting on a tool like this, you're probably in for a treat, in your local community.
I was just going to say, just an FYI, Dylan, I know you just subscribed to our services, the other day, but if you go to docs.hotspotty.net, I don't know, maybe Max, you can just have a very quick show of that. So yeah, there's a getting started guide that's like 10 minutes long. So that's Hotspotty 101. So if you listen to that, it's a very high level overview of almost everything that we do. And then you've got, as Max has expanded on there on the left, you've actually got, the feature breakdown. And, I mentioned that we have 5 broad key areas, with all of the features: visualize and understand, planning and optimizing, monitoring and managing, team collaboration, and then the payouts. And so we have very extensive documentation there. And even though it's quite detailed, it doesn't take too long to read through. You could probably read through everything in an hour, maybe an hour and a half or something. So as much as that isn't nothing, that is all of the features, and it is. Anyway, because there's a lot of stuff that's in Hotspotty that.
No, Alexis, I'll back you up. I'll back you up on that because that's exactly what I did. I went through the doc section, and like you said, it did not take too long. And before I even got to see the tool with my own eyes, I already felt a measure of comfort. It's a really, really nice 101 guide in there.
Nice.
Cheers.
Yeah, I like to think of Hotspot as a pro tool, right? Like if you're an artist and use Photoshop, you don't expect Photoshop to just show everything. I mean, we try as much as we can to make it as simple as possible, but with the level of complexity or the feature reach that we have, sometimes spending half an hour looking and understanding how the platform works is going to give you way better results than you're just like not.
Well, that's what's great about this is that if you jump in, there's a lot of intuitive, easy newbie features that you get value out of right away. And then if you're a pro advanced user who maybe has taken a little time to explore, like once you start to click into these kind of sub menus, you start to really open up this world. I mean, we were running super simulation. Well, we ran one last night, or we ran 2, one of each. And so we were really focused on exploring that feature and looking at that because that's one way people can plan their deployments. But there's just so much to explore that it's super dope, man. I mean, I just tip my hat to what you guys have built, and I know you just came off this crazy sprint, so nice work.
Yeah, and I know there's so much we didn't even get to, like the payment integration, which really deserves its own time to be discussed. But I did want to mention, off the super simulations, you talked about the recommendations to improve your hex. Now that, of course, relies on changes being made, and since you might not own all of the hotspots within your hex, that might require you and the other owners of within your hex to collaborate. And you've built some tools to encourage and enable that kind of collaboration amongst hotspot owners, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can give a quick overview of this. So, for example, I was just browsing through and I saw these 2 yellow hotspots. And if you click on reward scaling, you'll basically see that the problem is this hexagon that you see. And let's imagine you're this guy. You actually live here. This is where the hotspot is. But then this one is essentially screwing up your rewards to some extent because by the introduction of this new hotspot, it reduced also your transmit scale. So you're affected. So what you could do is you could use the tool to figure out like, okay, what does this person need to do? Well, in this case, like you could basically assert this hotspot literally 10 meters further. So, and we have the tools to also provide you with that. So if you click here, include transmit scale simulation. So if you toggle that off, you'll see that it's no longer a problem. Why? Because, well, this hex is no longer saturated because there's only one hotspot left. Of course, this hotspot is actually there, so this is just a simulation. It's just to see what would happen. But what if you still want to keep it online, of course? You just want to like fix this small issue. That can be done by using the placement simulation. So if you click here, then essentially you can move it on the map and like move it a little bit here, confirm, and then it's fixed, you know? So what you can do now is, okay, this person, you can go to contact owner. First, you have to verify your wallet. We have a mechanism. If you donate a small amount to us, then we essentially show in Hotspotty, like this hotspot is owned by someone who verified its wallet, and therefore you can you can get in contact with that person. So you can essentially send a message, and the person that owns this hotspot gets an email, and it will also show up here. And basically, you just we exchange the message and the Discord handle of the sender of that message. So the receiver, the one like this person, might not want to reveal their identity publicly. So we basically tell this person, hey, this person sent you a message, and this is his Discord handle. Go get in touch with him and see what he has to say. Actually, you can already read what he has to say. So you can respond like in Discord because you have all the information for that. Okay. So that's one example of collaboration. There are other examples, and that's basically like the solving entire hexes. Let's go to Lisbon because Lisbon has, since yesterday, 3,000 hotspots. So it's insane how many there are here, and it's clearly not necessary to have all of these.
I'm seeing a lot of red in there too.
Yeah. But it was worse, and that's actually why I showed this as an example. So if you click, for example, on this one, reward scaling, you'll see that resolution 4 is what's the problem in this entire area. So, and the transmit scale is 0.48. So in the whole area within this hex, there's nothing with a better score than 0.48, for example. At some point, I noticed that actually, it was completely red, and it was even worse. It was like 0.25. So what I did was, I don't know if it can share this. Yeah. So there's a Portugal channel in the official Helium Discord, and I basically created this short video, and I posted it here, and I'll quickly play this. It's literally like 1 minute.
Lisbon was sad.
So there's a lot of red there, and the idea is that is a very poor transmit scale, and it's going to go down soon.
And so, Max, I don't think we can hear the audio of the minute video you're playing, but within it, you're essentially explaining to people what the issue is, how to fix it, and just trying to get some cooperation going amongst the members.
Exactly. But the interesting part here was that like the entire region, which includes over 1,000 hotspots, could essentially be solved by only adding 3 hotspots to up north, basically. And then I saw literally 1 day later, it was resolved. So the entirety of these 1,000 hotspots now essentially doubled their transmit scale just because I shared the video and people were aware, and then some hotspots were added here or were moved, and that's it. So that's the power of collaboration within Hotspotty.
And that represents thousands of dollars, of extra rewards for all of those people, as well as better coverage, so everybody wins, which is, as we know, the whole point of proof of coverage and the clever HIP 17 and HIP 15 methods, right? It encourages the network to expand, and Hotspotty's got all of the tools to allow you to work that out and actually collaborate with people to make it happen, as Max has nicely demonstrated.
Yeah, this is like my favorite feature. You have a ton of great features, but just because of the decentralized nature of this, effective communication that you guys have set up here is just a wonderful.
Wow, I'm speechless. That's a crazy story. I mean, like, I don't know what to say. That's incredible that you were able to influence the network to improve the health so tremendously. So kudos to you. And the whole team for putting this together and building this.
That was massive. That was
yeah. I mean,
Thanks a lot.
and coming on the show with us, like this was really, really cool, really fun. I am really glad we decided to do this new format with you so that we could show that and show this feature. We'll edit some highlight videos of this as well so that there's shorter form of the feature products and stuff. But guys, this was really tremendous. I can't wait to get in there and explore a little bit more, and we will certainly put links to those in our description and everything to get people in there.
Yeah,
But
thank
this
you
has been
so
fun.
much for your time, guys. We really appreciate it. We know you're super busy. This is thank you very much.
That was awesome.
You're welcome. Yeah,
You're very
we
welcome.
have to thank you too for having us on the show and representing the product. And obviously, you know, it's live, right? Go to app.hotspotty.net or just, you know, hotspotty.net if you want to understand the features and stuff, and give it a try. You know, there's a free account for everybody for one hotspot, 2 locations. So, and give us feedback in our Discord, on our Twitter, and check out our YouTube, etc. So we like to collaborate with the community. So yeah, we'd like to hear from everybody.
Yeah, if you're thinking about setting up a Helium hotspot, or you already have one, I think you have to get familiar with Hotspotty at least.
All right, guys, this has been great. Alexis, Max, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back soon for updates from you maybe down the road, and then we'll have some more interviews coming up on our calendar very soon as well with some other groups. So we'll see you guys later.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.